Hi there, welcome to my side of the universe. Sega making a new console is every fanboy's dream, but the reality of the situation is, from a no-risk business perspective, that they shouldn't make a new console. However, look at Nintendo right now. The Wii U had only 39 games starting out? Now the Switch has only 10? What happened? They gambled. There's really no way to tell if it'll work out in the end or not, but they're still around. Why? Well, in order to succeed with your business model, you must look at your competitors and find your niche group. By that I mean you should ask these questions. What makes your competitors great? Why are they succeeding? What is their niche group? What can we do better? As a hardcore Sega fan, I would say that that's how it was before, but things have changed now. Platformer titles are a hard sell since the majority of casuals and the younger generations only really play FPS and sandbox titles. Another question that begs to be asked is, why has the gaming marketplace become so stagnant? A lot would argue it hasn't, and in my opinion it's become increasingly stagnant to the point where indie developers are our only viable option to find any kind of uniqueness or originality. I completely left the consoles and moved on to Steam because of this. Let me repeat. I, a console fanboy, moved on to Steam because everything became so stagnant. That being said, I feel that Sega working with indie developers for a launch of the new console would be the only smart option, not a re-release of titles from yesteryear. I'm talking new titles from indie developers who either have a great idea or already have gained success from past works and make them into exclusive titles. Of course, Sega should also release titles that they made before. Maybe remakes or remasters of old successful games, or maybe some sequels to games of the past. We must also look at our past failures to proceed to get a feel for what the terrain is like now. Why did the Dreamcast fail? It was all in the timing. When Sony came out with their PlayStation, they had taken the spotlight. Not only that, but Sega also fought with the pricing of everything they did, as all the parts needed to make the console was outsourced by other manufacturers. Also, they had the internet, which was unheard of at the time. People probably didn't even understand or fathom the idea of what it would be like to play on the internet, so they probably didn't even see it as a pro. Nowadays, some children can't comprehend playing a game without it. So we know one of the major reasons they didn't get the Dreamcast to work out was all in the timing. How does that relate to today though? Now that people use the internet for pretty much everything, they'll be able to use it as a pro this time. I would say that since timing really is everything, Sega needs to invest in getting Ryzen CPUs to be made specifically for their console. I'm pretty sure Intel fanboys will hate me for saying this, but Ryzen is more affordable and decent for the pricing. Also, it's new. For the graphics card, I would say to go with Vega. Vega would run games at true 4K with 60 frames per second. Now I know what you're thinking, Ryzen and Vega together being used in a console? That'd be hella expensive. I don't see it that way. Both Sega and AMD would benefit from this partnership, and AMD would still be in the lead with CPU sales for consoles. If they made some sort of deal with AMD by buying in bulk, this could be a very viable option for the console to be alive for this generation. It'd pretty much be future-proof until we go beyond 4K. If things are too expensive though, they should still do it, but lower the cost of production with the casing. Now that the boom of 3D printing has emerged, imagine what a corporation that has money can do with that technology. Everyone and their mother seems to have the misconception that Sega is borderline bankrupt, but that's not the case at all. You see these numbers? Those numbers in the list are all millions of yen, not thousands, millions. I'm just assuming that because of what happened with the Dreamcast, Sega doesn't want to risk losing money unnecessarily. The business model they have now works, and it's consistent. Their main focuses are pachinko, arcades, and amusement parks. The thing that really messes with me though is, if you invest in making another console, you're not really losing out on any money. The pachinkos, arcades, and amusement parks can all still be passive income while the console is in production. Back to my questions from the beginning, now that we can see that this can be a real thing, I ask again. What makes your competitors great? Nintendo delivers their signature fan service titles. Why are they succeeding? They take feedback and incorporate it into making the next game better. What is their niche group? They try to make games user-friendly so they go for all ages, meaning family-friendly titles. What can we do better? Do what Nintendo don't. just like a long time ago. In other words, Sega should make a console that appeals to adults because their original fan base is in their early 20s and up. Because of this demographic, there is a dire need to bring back older titles and to remake or to give them a sequel. And there is a need to bring new titles into the mix with indie developers everyone already loves or is fawning over. All feedback needs to be taken seriously and considered. Games do not need to be user-friendly since the majority of your fan base are adults. You can do better by supporting overseas fans, people outside of Japan, and by doing what Nintendo don't. Make adult titles that will spark controversy. Similar to what Mortal Kombat has done in the past. Create new games with platforming elements mixed in with other genres, like sandbox platforming or first-person shooter platforming. Do something that hasn't been done before or you rarely see much of. Make a title people will buy your console for, like Sonic, Phantasy Star, Streets of Rage, Shenmue, the list goes on. Hell, I'd buy it if you made another Resonance of Fate game. You get the idea. Anyway, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the subject since there were so many Dreamcast 2 naysayers and so many videos about the Dreamcast 2. I felt this needed to be said and considered. Sega, if you hear this, you don't really have much to lose. Just do it. Go for it. You'll turn things around and make more competition, which is great for both the consumer and the people behind the product. I'd buy consoles again if you came back into the fray. Anyway, thanks for listening to my little rant. Don't forget to arch your heart.